What is up, YouTube? Jonny B here again today, and I'm bringing you guys another video. This is a video that you guys should have seen a long time ago when I did the turbo install on my FRS, because this is one of the main components that you need to do when boosting your car. You need to upgrade the fuel pump, and that's something that I couldn't show last time because I literally had to just throw it in as fast as I could at night, right before the tuner got here, so we get the car running, so we can kind of like get it to where I can actually drive the car and not be afraid to blow it because the car's not tuned for the turbo. So I'm gonna show you guys how to install this right here. I ended up getting a Deatsch Works DW300c fuel pump. So this is a bit of an upgrade over the old 65C pump. Works really well. Only issue I was having with it was that when I first got it, it seems like it already had an issue the first time, because the pump sounded kind of funny. And after using it, this last time when I went to the track, it was not supplying enough fuel above 6,000 RPM. So I would literally get to 6,000, and if I went over that, the car would just cut off. So if you guys looked at the track video, there was a section there on the track video where I believe, trying to catch up to the 427 Cobra. It was a BMW on the right. I went over 6,000 RPM, and it kind of cut off a little bit, and then I just had to let off the throttle and shift, and then just keep going. So I was having this issue the whole day at the track where I could not, rev above 6,000 RPM. So essentially what I was doing is I was limiting the car from getting its peak power, because the car reaches peak power around like 7,000 RPM. It redlines to like 73, 74. So effectively I wasn't getting, my full 320 horses to the wheels because I wasn't revving it out. And I was still beating a lot of cars, so that was pretty impressive. And I didn't really mind that since it was my first track day. I wanted to make sure that I didn't abuse the car too much, kind of get a feel for it. So limiting myself to 6,000 RPM the whole track day wasn't that bad of an issue for me. So now I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to install this fuel pump into your FRS. All right guys, so here we have the stock fuel pump. This is the whole assembly, and then this is just the pump by itself. I already had the fuel pump out, obviously, because I had to take out the Deatsch Works one to send it to get it warrantied out. It's really easy to get off. It has like a little plastic ring on this section that you just have to hammer off. So I'm gonna be hammering that back on when you guys, at the end of the video, that way you guys can see how I did it to remove it. So once you have it out, you take it apart. There's like a little C-clip that goes on this section. I'll show you guys right now when I put it back together. What you have to do is take the pump out. So the pump will be in here, this section. Obviously I have it backwards right now, but you remove it with its full cable. The Deatsch Works kit comes with its own cable. So this will literally hook up to the Deatsch Works pump, and then this will hook up to your OEM pump assembly. The only issue being that the pump, since it's going to be a stronger pump, it's a little bit longer, as you can see there. So that's going to be causing a little bit of an issue, mainly because it's not going to fit like the OEM one does. So you have to modify the bottom of the pump. This piece used to be here, and what I did is I just chopped it off, so you can go ahead and leave the regulator in there. Then you get the pump, and we're gonna go ahead and put it together. All right, so here's the pump, and then in the bag there's gonna be 3 O-rings. So these 3 O-rings, you're gonna need to go ahead and put them on the pump. They go directly in here. The factory pump has like a little spacer, so I'm guessing they supply these so that way they act as a spacer. I'll put them on. There we go. You got all 3 of them on, and then we're gonna go ahead and need to add the filter. So you get the filter out of the little packet, and you just go ahead and put it on. So there goes the pump. Now the pump is assembled. Let's move on to the next step. Now, next step, after we have it assembled, we're gonna go ahead and grab the super lube that comes in the Deatsch Works packaging. We're gonna go ahead and put it all over the O-rings, because you want the O-rings to be nice and lubed up. when we go ahead and put it into the fuel pump assembly, because if you don't, you're gonna have a really bad time trying to get it in. You're not gonna have the issue where the pump isn't going all the way in and it's not seating properly. So one of the things that you also want to make sure is that it's all the way in where it should be, or else you're going to be having some leaks. And if you don't know that there's a leak and you already have the fuel pump in, you're just going to be having a really bad time, because your fuel pressure is going to be all messed up and it's not going to be running properly. So you want to make sure you lube it up really good. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and put the fuel pump in. If you look in there, there's only one way to put the fuel pump. There is an open section, which is where the wire is gonna go through, and then there's the part where you need the actual fuel pump to go ahead and squeeze in. That's where the fuel pressure is gonna be going through. So you wanna make sure that the O-rings go into that plastic housing that's in there. And then obviously, you know, you have the space for the connector. So let's go ahead and put it in. This is not easy at all. That's why I told you guys you want to make sure that you give it enough lube, or else it's not gonna go in properly. Okay guys, so here is the fuel pump installed. As you can see, there's a little bit of space here because this is the fuel pump. Since it's longer, it sticks out a little bit more than the stock fuel pump. That's just because of length. The other thing is that since we're not gonna be able to use the OEM mounting, I ended up using some zip ties before. So these are the zip ties I used before. You can see they are not in the greatest condition anymore. These were actually white when I first installed them. They changed colors probably from the fuel. So I figured they were probably corroding from the E85. So I ended up using some steel zip ties. So these should probably hold up a lot better. So what I ended up doing is I just wrap it around the whole like little assembly piece, and then I hold the pump from underneath. So that'll make sure that the pump doesn't just pop out, you know, when you're driving around. Obviously you need something to hold it in place. So that's what I ended up using. If I would have known about the full-blown fuel pump setup, I would have probably got that one over this one, even though the other one's like $300 and something. This fuel pump is only like $170. Mainly because they have like an aluminum CNC piece that kind of grabs onto the bottom of this and holds the pump in place. So that would actually be really nice. Unfortunately, I did this, so this is what I have to deal with, but it works perfectly fine as long as the pump doesn't pop out. You know, you're holding it in place. That's what I ended up doing. So just try to figure out how you can get that stuck. So now all we have to do is pop it all back in. So just like you would with the stock one, put it back into place and it should clip on. There we go. So now fuel pump is in place. Okay, so now that we have the fuel pump in there, you're gonna wanna go ahead and connect it. So your stock fuel pump has this little connector, and then the Deatsch Works one comes with its own connector, which is literally the same exact connector as the OEM pump. So you just hook that up to the assembly, and then the other end you go ahead and hook it up to your pump. As you can see here, let me move this over. You can see that I already have the connector in there. It's already connected to that. And then now it's time to put it back together. So if you took it apart, there is a little C-clip that goes on this end of it. So that when you remove that C-clip, this pops off like that. You want to make sure you don't lose this spring right here. And it just goes in same way that you remove it. Just pop that on. Make sure that the fuel hoses are in the correct spot. And then once you get it into place, it should effectively just go straight down. So make sure there we go. So now that's the spring doing its magic. And we're gonna need a little C-clip to go into this section. So this is the little C-clip that you would have removed to take off the top part of the assembly. So same thing, we're gonna go ahead and put it back on now that we have it all assembled. You just literally put it onto this. So let me put it on first, since you guys aren't gonna be able to see. But there we go. The little C-clip is on. So that's what holds the pump assembly from not tearing itself apart or coming apart. So when you want to go ahead and remove it or get to the fuel pump, all you need to do is take a needle nose plier, and you can go ahead and pull that out and it pops right out. The OEM fuel pump assembly, you take your stock fuel pump out, put the new upgraded one in, And there you go. Your fuel pump assembly is now good to go for your boosted application. All right, guys, so this is the fuel tank. This is literally underneath, I already told you guys, underneath the back seat on the driver's side. Normally it has like a little cover on here that just is glued on, so you just pry that off and you can access the actual fuel pump. So there's two main lines. There is the actual fuel line that goes to the engine, and so if you are barely pulling the pump out, you're gonna need to make sure that you disconnect this bottom line. There's two little clips that you just kind of press on the side of them and it'll pop right out. It's the first thing you want to do when you're going to install the fuel pump. Also remember to connect that, because if you don't, this is what brings fuel from the opposite side of the car to this side of the tank, because the tank is like almost separated in two. So if you don't connect that, you're only basically running half a tank. And once you have that, you put in the side with the floater and this fitting. You go ahead and put that in first. So let's go ahead and get it in there at an angle, and then you can go ahead and strain it out. All right, so when you go ahead and put the fuel pump in, you want to make sure that it's seated properly and that there's not a big gap in here. You want this plastic from the pump to almost be touching the ring of the gas tank. There's like a little bit of space. Obviously you want to make sure that it's not like halfway out. You want to make sure it's all the way in, because right now I was trying to put it on and it gets stuck to where there's like a big opening, I'd say about a 1/4 inch, and that's not going to be good. So you want to make sure that you sit it down properly, and then once it's all the way down properly, you want to go ahead and put this plastic ring, and then we can go ahead and put the piece that's going to hold it down. All right, so after you have the pump and you hold it on there, you go ahead and put the plastic ring, and then you put this little screw thing that holds it in place. I don't know the exact name for it, but you just go ahead and tighten it down. So the way you remove this, or at least I remove it, I use, let's say like a flathead. You pry it up against one of these little splines that are here, and you just basically hammer it at an angle to where it dislodges it. So let me show you guys the same process, but tightening it. So I'm literally gonna put this on here and then hammer it to where it tightens it. So you guys are gonna see it spin a bit. See how it's tightening? So now what you have to do is make sure that everything lines up. There's an arrow here, there's an arrow on this piece, and then there's like a little line on the actual gas tank. So as soon as you get all that to line up, it means you tighten it down properly. So if you're taking it out for the first time, you just do the same exact thing, counterclockwise, to take it out. One of the first things you have to do when removing it is to take out this, but this, obviously when you're gonna put it back together, you just clip it back on. You can see it's got two little sides where you just press on them to kind of get it unstuck. So it's really easy to remove it, and then to put it back on, you just push it back on. There we go. And now we can go ahead and put the connector and then put the little cover. Put the connector piece on, which is not easy to show, at least. Make sure it clips on. So this is what you're gonna see the first time you take it off. Obviously I went already ahead and put it back on. All you can do is just pry this up, and it's literally just some glue that is meant to be reused over and over again. Go ahead and put the seat on. So to remove the seat, it's literally just a bolt here, and you smack it on the back side and it just pops off. So same process to put the seat back on. Let's go ahead and put the seat back on. You just jam it in through the back, and there it is. All it is a 10 mil in the front to hold it in place, and the seat is in. That's how simple it is to remove and put the seat on. Well, there we are. And now let's see if the car starts. All right, guys, fuel pump is installed, turned on first try, so that's good. Everything's working perfectly fine. I'm happy now that I will actually be able to drive my car. It's been a while. It's been since the last time I actually track raced it. I literally came, put it on the lift, started trying to fix everything, and obviously took out the fuel pump at the same time and shipped it so I can get it warrantied out. So I'm excited because I want to drive this thing. It's been sitting here for a while. I've been wanting to take it out. I just haven't been able to, just because of the fact that I don't have a fuel pump. So car's running again. That's good. Hopefully that is gonna be the end of my fuel pump issues that I've had. I've probably swapped out the fuel pump, I want to say like 6-7 times, because first of all I had to swap out the stock one out of there, and I put the AEM one that I got when I bought the kit, and then the AEM one was failing or wasn't functioning properly, so then I had to take that one out and then put the new Deatsch Works in, and then I was having some issues with it not sealing properly with the O-rings, because I didn't put enough lube to get the O-rings to go all the way in. So then I had to take it out, kind of just mess with that, and then the filter got clogged. A bunch of things that have been going wrong with the fuel pump, unfortunately. You know, nobody wants that happening to them in their build. So you got to try to make it, you know, as good as possible the first time, so we're not having these issues. So hopefully now I'm completely done with all the issues with the fuel pump. Obviously I've learned a lot from taking it apart so many times. So hopefully this video helps you in case you are planning on, you know, boosting your FRS and you want to figure out how to do the fuel pump yourself. You don't want to pay someone, you want to save yourself some money. This is definitely a good way to do it. So hope this video helped you out. And as always, you guys have a great day.